Well, hey, howdy, hey. Welcome to the Kungaloosh Club, a brand new podcast. Used to be Disney Night Live, part of Now That's Disney's Facebook group. And now it's the Kungaloosh Club. So, welcome. Episode 1, brand new show, only going to be an audio podcast and put out as a YouTube video of just me recording myself talking. So welcome. I'm back. It's been a long time off from doing any sort of podcast, any sort of live show. Basically just been running the Now That's Disney Facebook group. And I decided to come back with something called the Kungaloosh Club. What is the Kungaloosh Club? So the Kungaloosh Club, again, is a brand new podcast. I used to do a live show called Disney Night Live, which is a Now That's Disney production, which is no more. And I've taken a long time off, some much needed time off. But the Kungaloosh Club is going to be, a talk about Disney podcast, and again, a video put out on YouTube. But that's it. I'm not going to be going live anymore. I'm not going to be doing a lot of the things that I used to do in the past with, the social media stuff. So, and I thought the Kungaloosh Club was a cool name. I've always found the whole Adventures Club to be very interesting. And Kungaloosh is the official greeting of the Adventurers Club. It's also the official beverage of the Adventurers Club. It's a club salute. And I just really thought, again, that would be a really cool name for this podcast, a celebration of Disney, talking about Disney, talking about all the new Disney topics, maybe in the future have guests on, but really right now just focus about the Kungaloosh Club introduction, what it is, where I've been, that kind of thing. So again, Kungaloosh was a club salute. It's the official means of recognition between members of the Adventurers Club. So again, I've been away for a while. You could tell that I'm very rusty. I haven't been doing this in a very long time. I've been debating whether or not I'm going to get back into this. And so this is kind of a test run. We're going to see how it goes. I've got to get comfortable back into the field of things, being behind the camera and on the microphone, and doing all the things necessary to put out the podcast and put the show out on YouTube. So I could tell you that this is going to be a very unscripted podcast and show about Disney topics. I'm not really going to be doing a lot of notes. There will not be a lot of the sharing out of the live show that I used to do in the past, or again, going live. I think that, Disney live shows are kind of a thing of the past. I mean, we were barely getting people watching us, and whether or not it's because the show wasn't very good or people didn't like it, or it's just, again, the thing of the past. I feel that a lot of people are getting away from watching live Disney shows, live streams. So again, I mean, I started Now That's Disney Facebook group years ago, and then started up the Disney Night Live live show. Used to be on a Friday night. Then we moved to Saturdays, and then Wednesday night, and then back to Saturday. And little by little, for whatever reason, our viewers dwindled. We still had a lot of fun doing it. I really send a big thank you out to all of my past co-host, but this is going to be a solo production, just me talking Disney, and again, maybe some guests on in the future if we have some good guests available and topics. But I don't want to really make it about having to get guests on anymore, because that was always very hard to do. If they're there, they're there. But so why no more Disney Night Live? That's basically it. It just became a lot. It was a big part of my life for years. It was a big dedication, talking about Disney in a live format, getting everything set up for the show, taking that time out on a Saturday night away from my family, away from myself, it was a lot, and it became a lot, and I needed to step away from it for a while, I think, to kind of appreciate how much I really enjoy Disney and wanting to get back into talking about Disney in a whole, but not in a live format. It was just, it was a lot of pressure on me. I put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that, things went right and it was produced correctly, and that people were going to be on the show, topics, that kind of thing. And then again, a dedicated time and date for a show was getting harder and harder to lock down. I started missing Saturday nights with my family. I started missing time for myself. So this is, again, kind of like Disney Night Live, but just not live. And now it's the Kungaloosh Club. And again, I got into the Disney Facebook thing years ago because I wanted something to do. I needed something to do. My therapist had told me, basically, what are you doing for yourself? I really enjoy Disney, all facets of it. And so I said, you know what? I'm in a lot of Disney Facebook groups. I'm going to start one myself. And that parlayed into a live show. Taking our family to Disney, 12 years ago, maybe the first time as a family. My son was 5. Was our first family trip. And fast forward to now, 2026, my son's 17. We own Disney Vacation Club. We go to Disney World yearly. We really enjoy our family trips. We're actually fresh off of our most recent Disney trip where we went at the end of June to the beginning of July, and had a really great stay. Really enjoyed our time there on property at Walt Disney World. We stayed at the Polynesian and then moved over for, I believe, 3 days at the Polynesian Island Tower, which was absolutely beautiful. And we'll talk about that. But I've given backstory before of why I've gotten into Disney, but again, I really needed to find something that was an interest of mine. My son was diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum at a very young age, and for years, my wife Kim and I really dedicated a lot of time to our son. Therapies and doctor's appointments, and just making sure that we gave him everything we could possibly to give him the best chance, in succeeding in life. And again, now he's 17. He's doing awesome. And in the past couple of years, I've really enjoyed that family time. And the live show was kind of taking away from that, again, at 8 p.m. on a Saturday night. So we've really been enjoying our time. Kim and I have both gotten back into doing some fitness stuff and just trying to get in better shape, and, dedicating time for ourselves, also still our family, but dedicating time to ourselves, because we've gained back, I guess, some time with our son being older and really doing just great. So again, we still really enjoy Disney as a family. Had a great trip, and we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in the near future. But this podcast and these videos I'll be putting out, for the Kungaloosh Club, gives me the freedom to do it in a less formal format, if that makes sense. Again, not a dedicated time. I'm going to try to dedicate the same day weekly to do the recordings and put them out, but I'm not going to stress over if I'm going on vacation or I can't do one on a certain day or time. Again, so a very less stressful environment for myself, and keep up with the time for families on the weekends, and keep doing what I'm doing, which is, just really enjoying our life together. Again, working out has become, I'm doing something each day of the week. So if I'm not doing some sort of functional weight training, with cardio. I'm doing cardio, but I'm doing something every day to kind of give something back to myself and my family, and just finding time for myself, which is really important. That people need to find time. And I spent a lot of time with the Facebook, now that's Disney Facebook group. I spent a lot of time looking at other groups and being a part of those Facebook Disney groups, and also watching Disney vlogs to stay current on a lot of the Disney things. Sorry, I need a little sip of water there. I haven't done this in a while, so kind of blabbing at the mouth here. I do watch. I try to do at least one vlog a day of watching some of my favorite YouTube vloggers that focus around Disney, Disney content. I can tell you that I'm still watching a lot of the same ones that I watched in the past when I was doing the live show, and keeping up with Paging Mr. Morrow. Watching one of my favorites is, and it's not all Disney, but Timmy's Takeout. Timmy, I love his content. He's so funny. My wife and I say all the time when we're watching him that he's like the funniest person. I don't know how he does it. Like, it just seems to come to him, but he's hilarious. And whether it's a Disney content or not, he cracks me up. So, and a few months ago, I knew the name Adam Hatton. I knew of the name, but I had never watched his vlogs before. I've seen a lot of people talk about him being their favorite. And man, I've been absorbing over the last couple months a lot of his vlogs from years ago up until current, and just really enjoying his content. I think he does a great job with his Disney content. Also has a friend that goes on a lot of trips with him, Gary C, who is adorable. And I didn't know when I started watching Adam that Gary C was going to be a part of it, but he is, and together they're really good. But I just finished, I think from 2024, Adam's first trip to Disneyland, Tokyo Disneyland, which was really cool. I think it was from 2024. It was like a 5-video series. And of course, Tim Tracker, still love watching his content, and many others. Going back when I first started, there was Big Fat Panda, who now is, one of our good friends, and we got to see on our most recent trip to Walt Disney World. And I've stayed with watching the Disney content, and not living in Florida or near a Disney location. It's hard to. I found that very hard to put out content. Also, the live show, you could still talk about it, but putting out content when you're not near the parks, you kind of rely on the news, and also to stay current and know what's going on. Again, social media content and blogging. So, but for me, I think that a lot of people still listen to podcasts, and I thought I still wanted to talk about Disney. It took me a while to get back into this, though. I debated and debated and debated, and even today, I was like, all right, I'm going to sit down in front of the screen and the microphone and just start talking about Disney, and we'll see how it goes. I'm always really self-conscious about, am I saying the right thing? Am I getting the content and the news out correctly? I think there's a lot of judgment in the Disney community of people that do this, and I also, that's another reason why I kind of got out of the live show stuff and stepped away from it for a while. It became too much. The Disney community could be great, but it could also be really hard. I had this whole different idea when I first got into it, that the Disney community was different than what I found it to be. There's not many people doing Disney content that are, I guess, supporting each other, or not supporting the ones that aren't popular. I found that the ones that are doing a really good job and that are popular kind of all know each other, but then it's hard to be found, and it's hard to be discovered, or for people to find you and listen to you or watch you, because the other ones are just they're their numbers are huge, you know, and they get sponsored. And you know, I want to remain true to what I'm doing. I want to remain true to talking honestly about Disney. I have no sponsors other than my favorite streaming Disney music station, which is D Magic World, which I'm always promoting and used to do on the live show and still do in the Facebook group now that's Disney. So there's only a few that are tried and true and have stuck with us. But I find it really hard to kind of get out there and get known or get people to hear you with so much content and so many of them doing a really good job. You know, and I rely on that a lot. And I know a lot of people are watching and listening to their favorites. So, but I kind of got away from who I was and the meaning of it and saying that I'll do a live show even if no one's watching, because I started relying on numbers and how many people were watching or how many people were listening and commenting. And it kind of little disheartening. It got disheartening, you know, towards the end there, where a lot of people weren't tuning in or commenting. And I still enjoyed doing it for the people that did, and even with my co-host and myself. But you know, I kind of got away from that, and I started getting caught up in it needs to look a certain way or sound a certain way, or I need to be doing what all the other people are doing. I'm never going to be able to make Instagram or TikTok content like others because they're in the parks. And you know, let's face it. I mean, I just turned 54. I don't want to get into editing and doing all these things. I just don't want to. It's not that I don't think I know how or I can. I just really don't want to. I don't want to be, that's not what I want to do. I just want to talk about Disney, and I want to talk honestly about it, you know, and keep getting information out. So, you know, again, it's going to be true information. It's going to be my honest opinion about it. It's going to be very open. I'm a very open person. I'm not gonna hide how I feel, and I'm also not going to shy away, which I did for a while there. But towards the end of Disney Night Live, I just couldn't anymore. I have to stay true to myself. I have to stay true to my feelings and my beliefs, and just how I kind of also on my own, you know, Facebook platform. Put things out there about politics or the world. I felt that for a while I couldn't because I was afraid people would stop listening or watching. And I think some of them did because, you know, everyone has a different opinion, but this is not how I make a living. And I don't want to worry about what people think of me or my opinion on certain things about the world or what's going on. I'm going to stay true to myself, whether people like me or they don't like me. And if they like me, they'll listen or watch if they want. And if they don't, they may hate, listen, or watch. But either way, I'm going to continue to not be afraid to stay true to myself. I think, you know, one thing I see in the Disney community with these content creators is they have to kind of keep quiet on a lot of things because some people won't watch them or support them. Which will hurt them because they make a living off of this. They make a living off of it. And I don't. I mean, I have a job. You know, that's how I support my family. This is not paying me. You know, I'm not making any money from it. I'm not sponsored. I don't need to worry about the numbers. So, you know, and again, you know, the one sponsor that we do have is D Magic World, and dmagicworld.com again has stayed my favorite Disney streaming music station. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week music station, and I think they do a great job. It's my favorite, you know, and I'm going to keep listening to them, and I'm going to keep promoting them. And if they find it that they want to put the audio of the show back up on D Magic World, because Disney Night Live used to have episodes aired on D Magic World. You know, they can, but And I'm trying to find their graphic here. So I could pull that up for you. So again, dmagicworld.com. I want you to check them out. If you love Disney music from the parks, it's going to be the station for you. I think they do a terrific job with putting out the music. I think they're still doing Season Sunday, which is pretty cool. You could hear seasonal music, holiday music from around the parks on Sundays. I hope you go check them out. But again, other than that, that is the only thing I'm sponsoring right now. And it's really, Jasper, who runs D Magic World, was putting out our Disney Night Live shows on D Magic World, and we promote them in turn. So again, I'm not making any money from Disney. I'm not making any money from Disney related sponsors. So I'm going to keep being honest and true to who I am, and I'm not going to let that affect me on my own Facebook platform or in my own social media, sites, or who I am as a person. I'm not going to be afraid of losing numbers or viewers, listeners, whatever it comes down to. I can't do that. I felt like I lost myself. I lost who I was, and I had to stay quiet on a lot of things. And, again, our son is on the autism spectrum. I think that all people should be treated fairly. It's not a right thing or a left thing. Human decency, human rights it's a human thing. I have friends in the gay community. I have friends who have children who are in the gay community, and I think that everybody just deserves to be treated nicely. And but again, the show's not going to focus on that. It's going to focus on Disney. But I just want to give you a little backstory of why there's no more Disney Night Live, where I've been, what I've been doing with my time, and what the Kungaloosh Club is. So again, the Kungaloosh Club, welcome. As you guys know, I always started off the live shows with "Hey, howdy, hey," because I love that. And so, hey, howdy, hey, welcome to the Kungaloosh Club. I was going to call this episode, the first episode, Deconstruct This, because I had this whole idea about talking about, the deconstructed menu items Disney has gotten into, I guess, over the past couple of years, and focusing on the festivals at the Walt Disney World Epcot festivals. But I thought that an introduction up front would be much better. And I took so much time off that it kind of timed perfectly with us coming back recently from our latest Walt Disney World trip. So to give you some history on that, we are Disney Vacation Club owners. We own at the Polynesian Resort, and they built the Polynesian Island Tower, I guess, about 13 months ago. It opened, and we had wanted to stay there, and we again did a split stay on our recent stay, and love the Polynesian and love the Island Tower equally. If you're not aware, with Disney Vacation Club, if you own at one of them, they have shared amenities, and so we were bouncing back and forth between the pools and restaurants, really just enjoying our time. We hit all 4 of the Walt Disney World parks at least once during a trip. We met it with friends, like I said. We met it with our friend Panda, who was also with Don and Marie. And if you know Donald Nicholson, who was on Disney Night Live, he was a longtime co-host of the show and still a friend. We met up with our former Disney Night Live co-host, Aaron, who, again, still a bird trainer at Animal Kingdom. Still a bird trainer there, and met up with him and had some fun times with him at Animal Kingdom, and kind of got stuck in the rain while we were eating dinner and exiting the park. We still have friends in the Disney community that we either were co-hosts or friends we met through the community. And that's great. thing about the Disney community, is that there's a lot of people in it, and that there's so many great people in it, and we've again made so many good friends. But so, and going on previous trips, because I was doing the live show, I felt the need to always have my phone out, you know, on a phone holder, and going live or making videos and taking photos and putting that out. And I kind of gotten away from enjoying those trips. And this trip was kind of, I did a couple live videos. Not many people tune into them. I noticed that even with just going live in the Facebook group, not many people tune in anymore. But, you know, I just like to get information out. But it wasn't about, this trip wasn't about that. It was just about enjoying the parks, enjoying the time with my family. You know, so that's the shift. That's the focus. Just enjoying Disney for the reasons that I first got into it. I think it's a great company. You know, I'm not agreeing with everything they do. This show, this podcast, and these videos, I'll be talking about, again, my honest opinion. So I'm not in favor of everything they do, and I'm going to tell you that one way or the other. You know, we'll see how that goes. But you know, there were a lot of positives from our past trip. There were a couple things that I think that need to be improved. You know, but we can talk about that, I guess, a bit, right? Because I kind of gave the backstory on what, you know, what Disney Night Live was, why it isn't anymore, where we're going with this, and what the Kungaloosh Club is. So let's talk about it. So we stayed at the Polynesian and the Polynesian Island Tower, split stay. Had some really good food at the Poly and the Island Tower. We once we switched over to the Island Tower, we decided to eat dinner at the Wailulu Bar and Grill 3 nights, because we found the food was just so good. And the first 2 nights, our server Kevin, terrific. I mean, the other people working there as well. I'd met the bartender there, I think John, really nice guy. Everyone there was great, but we fell in love with Kevin. Really nice person, and enjoyed the food a lot and the drinks. So I can tell you that it was some of the best consistent food 3 nights in a row on Disney property. The smash burger that they have there is worth all the hype that you may hear and or see, like in the social media realm of Disney. That thing was amazing. I think it's called the Wayfinder burger. The banana old fashioned, again, worth the hype. There was a drink that Kim was drinking, and I tried one of them. They were delicious. It's a Dole Whip drink, but it's not a frozen drink. I wish I had the name off the top of my head, but I said, you know, going into this again, it's not going to be that well scripted. I'm not going to sit here and pull up menu items and have a detailed list of things, because I want to get away from that, because I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. So, you know, if you check out the menu there, you'll stumble across the drink, but it was delicious. I had a Mai Tai there, which was one of the best Mai Tais I had on property. And just a really cool vibe. The Island Tower for the Polynesian is very laid back compared to the Polynesian, the original Polynesian resort. You know, there's less people hanging out there because they don't have shops inside of the resort. It's just a resort and a restaurant, pool. They have a fitness center, which Kim and I used almost every day of our trip, which was great amenities. You know, that now turning attention to the Polynesian, still love the Polynesian. Favorite resort on Walt Disney World property. Again, that's the reason we bought our vacation club there. I guess it was about 10 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, that we became owners. And but I do find it's really crowded, which takes away from some of the vibe. There are a lot of people visiting the popular resorts at Walt Disney World, which kind of takes away if you're staying there, because It's hard to find somewhere to sit in the lobby. It's hard to find space there. It's hard to find dining reservations. It is crowded. The shops are crowded. Um, you're trying to get a reservation at Trader Sam's just to grab a drink, and you've got to go on a wait list because people come from all over to go into places like Kona, uh, Trader Sam's, Ohana. And I think it took away from that a bit. And I kind of now see, which is another hot button topic going on with Disney, is trying to stop a lot of people who don't have a reservation, a resort reservation, or some sort of dining reservation from visiting these resorts. Because if you're staying in a resort, you want to enjoy the amenities, but without so many people there that aren't staying there, kind of beating you for that space and reservation. So I know a lot of people are upset in the Disney community about the recent changes that are going on, where if you're going to Disney Springs, people were hopping on resort buses and parking at Disney Springs for free, and then going to resorts. And now you need to show some sort of a reservation, I believe, to get on these buses. And I kind of agree with that, regardless of whether you're pulling up in your car or you're coming via some sort of Uber type, ride share, pulling up and not having a reservation, just kind of there. And part of it is, I get it. It's expensive. People are trying to skip out on parking, how much they have to pay for parking, or if they're not staying there, they still want to see the resort or the stores or places around Disney. But I think a lot of that's kind of the negative about the Disney social media thing, because there's so many people out there, talking about it freely and saying, I parked at Disney Springs and I take a bus and I go here and I do this, or I made a reservation at Kona at the Polynesian, and it took me a half hour to eat, and then I have a couple hours that I could just either walk around the Polynesian or get on a monorail and go where I want. And I think that's kind of like the downside of it, because there are ways to get around certain things at Disney, but I don't think we should be promoting these things. So some of these social media outlets or these bloggers or influencers, I think they should kind of stop giving out these shortcuts, and kind of bragging about the fact that they're doing these things, because, it is a company, it's a resort, they are restaurants and stuff. We should be respectful towards that. And again, people staying there. And, there's got to be a happy medium for people that are staying at one Disney World resort and want to see some of the other property or dining. Without it being a security risk, because my background started in security, and I'm all for security and feeling secure, and my family feeling secure and where I'm at. And that's a big part of why I also like Disney. They're clean, they're a great company. I think they do a good job with people that have special needs and security. I want to feel safe. And I think the other park goers and visitors need to feel safe as well. So that to me, I don't think should be compromised. So I kind of going off the rails here a little bit about staying at the Polynesian, but it is kind of hard to find reservations for dining and stuff, or again, a place to just sit in the lobby if you're waiting for your room to be ready. The day we arrived, it as soon as we got there, it downpoured. We were just getting ready to go to the pool. Our room wasn't ready. And it downpoured. So we got a Dole Whip at Pineapple and we wanted to go sit in the lobby and wait. And there was just there's no open space, no open seating. And they're doing a lot of construction at the Polynesian right now. So Captain Cook's quick service was overrun with people, because there's limited seating outside, limited seating inside, with the outside terrace being closed. So, I do think Disney's going to get stricter in that means, and make sure that people are going places that they belong. I guess that's how I'll just say it. But And the Polynesian's been there for a while, so there's some things that I kind of after the trip wrote to Disney about, because I think that they should know how their resort guests feel. Because again, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? So the Polynesian, some of the part of the rooms are showing its age. The elevators are really showing its age. Some of the things could be better. So I let them know about some of those items. I feel that the monorail's been around for a long time, and you get on the monorail and sometimes the seats are wet because of the air conditioning trying to keep up and it's leaking, or the air's not working at all. So these kinds of items, there's dings and dents and little things, some things with the room that needed to be fixed, which were handled pretty quickly after we told them, but some items not working. Kind of going back a few steps, that's another thing too about people, going to the Disney resorts or using the transportation, kind of for their own means and not because they have a reservation. So the transportation gets clogged up with a lot of people kind of just sightseeing instead of like the resort monorail is just that, it's a resort monorail. So, if we're saying at the Polynesian, that there's a resort monorail that's going to take you to the Grand Floridian, Magic Kingdom, the Contemporary, back around, right? So if people are just sightseeing and then get on a monorail, now you're taking up space for people that are paying to stay at a deluxe monorail resort. So again, a lot of the times limited space, especially on the monorail, and then sometimes on the buses, because of that. But the monorail kind of, I think, needs an overhaul just in terms of they're old and they need some work, and there's some items that could be fixed. The Polynesian Island Tower, again, 13, 14 months old. Beautiful resort, total different vibe than the regular Polynesian, very relaxed, updated, beautiful, great terrace decks, however you want to, viewing decks, whatever. There's 4 of them in total. There's 2 on the Magic Kingdom side, overlooking the water and the Grand Floridian and the regular Poly, and again Magic Kingdom, and then 2 on the monorail side. We had a resort view, so our balcony faced the monorail, which it didn't bother us at all because every so often we see monorail coming by, and that never gets old, right? You're at Disney World and monorails are just driving by your resort room. So the room was beautiful. I think the one thing, we stayed in a deluxe studio resort view, the one thing that kind of needs improvement, if they can swap something out in there, is it needs more clothes storage. There's not a lot of storage for clothes. If you're staying more than a couple days, the room sleeps 4, I believe, 4 or 5. We're a family of 3 and found it hard to find space for our clothes. So we kind of lived out of a suitcase for a little bit. I think you can make it work if you're tucking clothes like in the bathroom where the towels are and stuff. But to me, I think the one thing that they have kind of a sitting area with like a shoe rack underneath, I think, or maybe that's for a suitcase. For me, that should not be there. There should be some sort of 3-drawer dresser or something there for more clothes storage. But other than that, the room's perfect. Beautiful room. Not as big as it appears for me as the deluxe studios at the Polynesian. But this room at the Island Tower does have, I believe it's the first DVC studio with a dishwasher in it, which I thought was cool. And real plates, nice Keurig machine with not just the 1-cupper, but you can make a whole pot of coffee. So you have the option, so both have their positives, a couple negatives, but the positives way outweigh the negatives, right? As with any Disney stay, I think sometimes you're going to have bumps in the road. during your trip. But the positives outweigh those negatives. And the other thing too is there's so much planning that goes into Disney that you want it to go right. I mean, there's so many things that you have to do at certain times, and there's a cost that goes into it, and this planning, and you want everything that you plan to happen right, and you have to realize sometimes it's not. I can tell you that on this trip we did use lightning lanes for Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and Epcot. And the night we went to Epcot, it was the extra magic hours or extended evening hours for deluxe guests, which I did have an issue with. I wrote to Disney about, and I'll get into that. But, the lightning lanes, they're not cheap. So one complaint about the lightning lanes, I got the multi-pass lightning lanes for those parks, and you could book them if you're staying at a Disney resort 7 days in advance, 3 days in advance if you're not staying on property at Disney. And when I made my first multi-pass selections, I followed the tiers and I did my homework, and I got up early and I made those selections, and I thought I did pretty well with them. And then I tried to change some along the way before our trip. And I had a little luck with that. And then on some I didn't. And I figured I'd do it on property, but the parks weren't that busy. And I found that the multi-pass was sold out or oversold or whatever's going on, because once we're in the parks and we started using the multi-passes and you can then make another selection, the times that were coming up are like 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night. And if you're in the park in the morning or noon, are you going to be in the park all day and night? We're not in the park from morning to end. We're not rope droppers to close. We go to the park at specific times. If it's hot, we go to the park after the pool or come back from the park and swim. So something with the lightning lanes, the availability just wasn't there throughout the day that I think how I expected it. I don't know how any of you that are going to listen to or watch this feel about it. And I'd love to hear back, from this show and in other future shows. Always let me know, what you think about the show and kind of, what your experiences are. If you agree, disagree, just what your experience is. But I felt that it was really hard to get lightning lane selections that made sense of times that weren't very late. And if you were going to do that, you'd have to be in the park all day, and then have a gap or do standby of your original selections to when the other selections were going to come up. Or you'd have to sit on your phone the whole time and kind of look for available times. And for me, that takes away from the experience. I don't mind doing it to make that next selection and have times that aren't far away, but I don't want to have to be looking through it. Molly from Mammoth Club calls it fiddle faddle. I don't want to fiddle faddle my whole trip away. I want to be in the moment with my family. So, and then getting back to extra magic hours or extended evening hours for deluxe guests at Walt Disney World. For those of you who don't know, on certain days of the week, some of the parks, mainly Magic Kingdom and Epcot, have hours after the park closes. Say Epcot's closing at 9, Epcot then would be open until 11 p.m. For deluxe guests, and only deluxe guests. And since we stayed at the Polynesian, that's considered a deluxe resort. And my problem with that was, we got to Epcot that day fairly early. We did some things with our multi-pass experiences and got on some rides. And then, rainstorm was coming in. With summer at Disney World, it's going to rain at some point during the day. For how long, you don't know. And we ran into the aquarium and we were there for about an hour and a half. I mean, it came down to the point where we were going to be late for our Space 220 reservation. So we just hoofed it over. We took off our shoes and socks, put them in bags, and hoofed it over there to Space 220. And whether that's allowed or not, I'm not sure. But we didn't want to get soaking wet sneakers or shoes. And then made it to Space 220. And by the time we had our dinner, and I think Space 220 got backlogged because of the rain and people being late for their reservations. Our food came out late. Some of it was cold, unfortunately, which it was handled by the manager at Space 220. I wouldn't say the food was the greatest experience or worth the cost, but by the time we got out, it was late, and there was only a few hours at Epcot left, which were those 2 extra hours for the extended hours. And then going around, like Test Track's really popular. So Test Track had like a 70-minute wait, right? So we obviously opted not to do that and waste most of our time in line for Test Track. So we started going around the World Showcase to hit other attractions and did Frozen, but then they closed down part of World Showcase, and you then have to walk all the way around the other way to get to, we were going to go do Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. So that takes time, right? And the cast member's kind of like, well, it's the same distance from here to there. And it's like, I understand that, but I was not aware that they closed down part of the World Showcase during those hours. And we didn't get to experience the World Showcase really at all during this trip. We were kind of just hoofing it around, trying to hit those attractions before the park closed. So if you are doing those extended evening hours or extra magic hours, I forget what it's called. Again, unscripted, not really prepared here. But just know that some of the things available during the regular hours will not be available during those hours. Parts of the park, some of the stores, restaurants, quick service locations, whatever it is. There wasn't a lot open at Epcot. I managed to snag a beer at the fish and chip window there in the UK pavilion, which I was happy about. Always to grab a Harp on tap over there. Delicious fish and chips too, by the way, if you ever get a chance, whether or not you're going into the restaurant, the Rose and Crown, or getting the quick service, delicious. But yeah, not a lot open. So, but overall, a great trip. I think the parks were not that crowded at all. Sorry, my throat is drying up here. Needed a little sip of H2O. Yeah, the parks weren't that crowded. We managed to get through a lot of items that we wanted to do. Some we didn't, but there's always next time for those returning guests. The parks look great, always clean. Cast members are awesome, amazing, and had fun with meeting up again with friends and just enjoying family time. We did venture out of the Disney bubble this trip and went to Universal Epic Universe. And I think I'm going to save that discussion for another episode. But my son really wanted to see the Nintendo portion of Universal Epic Universe. So we did. We spent some time at Universal Epic Universe off property, out of the bubble, which was really hard to do because I never like to leave the Disney bubble. Those of you who know me, who are in the Now That's Disney group or used to watch Disney Night Live, know that once I'm in the Disney bubble, we stay in the Disney bubble. We don't even go to Disney Springs, to be honest with you, which is a whole nother thing that everybody can't believe that. But we enjoy our resort and the parks that much, and doing some dining or relaxing and a decent amount of pool time. Because it's not just about the parks. We want to enjoy the resorts. For us, it's not just about the parks. And it's also a vacation. So we want to make sure we're giving our son time in the pool and us relaxing, or again, hitting the fitness center. That's what we did. We don't go to Disney Springs. We haven't been there in years. We did have a reservation again, I think, for the Boathouse this time around, and we wound up canceling that and eating at Wailulu Bar and Grill again, which we have no regrets about. I'm not dissing Disney Springs. I know a lot of people love it, but I'm not going to Disney World for that. I think there's a lot of dining in the parks and at your resort or other resorts where I don't have to take time out from what I want to do to go to Disney Springs to maybe try some dining or stand in a line for a cookie. Like I don't want to do that. And I think there's enough shops, again, inside the parks and either at your resort or other resorts that I don't want to spend what I consider quality time, going and doing that. And we haven't gone, I think, since the first year that we visited with our son. And it doesn't mean we won't go in the future and not enjoy it, but it's just what I'm saying is for us, at this time, we don't like taking time away from what we're currently doing. The trip goes by so fast, and your days go by so fast that we just don't want to take time away. So I think for episode 1 in this introduction, I think that's what I'm going to cover. I'll see what next episode brings. Maybe we'll get into our Universal Epic Universe Day, and how that went versus, the Disney bubble. So, again, I hope that if you enjoy the show, you keep listening or you tune into the video that I'm going to put on YouTube of, again, just this recording, nothing really rehearsed, not a lot of notes, nothing special, not a lot of graphics or, things, that kind of stuff, loading photos in before the show or videos of research that I did and pulling that up. This is a free scripted deal. But if you enjoy Disney and you enjoy this, I hope you keep listening, and I'd love to hear from you. In the future, I'll put this episode out and we'll see how it goes. But again, it's not going to be edited. I'm not going to worry about an introduction and how that goes and removing music for the podcast or whatever. I can't do that at this point in my life. I think it's just this is what you get, right? You get what you get and you don't get upset. So if that's for you, then thank you. But I hope you tune into the Kungaloosh Club in the future. I wanted to kind of get this off my chest. I wanted to get back out there into talking about Disney again, because I really enjoy it and kind of shake the rust off. It has been a while. It's been a hot minute. Hello to everybody that used to watch or listen to Disney Night Live. We're always grateful for the people that tuned in and supported us. So thank you. And I hope you like the Kungaloosh Club. Again, it's a celebration. It's a celebration of Disney and talking about Disney, and it's meant to be a fun thing. And I thought the Kungaloosh Club was a cool name. Again, I really like that. And we'll get into the history of the Adventurers Club and that whole thing, because I think there's a lot of history there and cool information. Tune in for more as I fiddle with my my StreamYard information here on my right, trying to find a song to take us out with here. And again, we'll see you in the future. Next week should be doing another episode. I'm not going to go crazy if I don't, though. If I'm on vacation, I might not do an episode. I'm not going to drive myself crazy with it, but stick around, because there's more from the Kungaloosh Club, and I hope that you enjoy it. You have a great day, a great week, a great everything. Be nice to each other, and see you around.